Ahimsa, one of the most beautiful words I ever heard, a beautiful Sanskrit word that I connected with very deeply when I first heard about it during my yoga teacher trainings way back in 2006, 7. And since then I've resonated with this word very deeply because it comes with a power, it comes with vibration. And it was this vibration lived in my heart as a pledge since I was 14 years old, when I first heard the gunshots, when I first saw the violence, when the war in former Yugoslavia changed my life. This pledge, I'm going to do something about this. In some way, as powerfully as I can, I'm going to serve non-violence and peace on earth. And as a child, I didn't know how I could do it. But later on, I understood my path is not through politics. It's through unity consciousness, through experiential spirituality. So this pledge first led me to beautiful scholarships in Italy, where I studied international affairs, and later on, master's degree in peace studies. An amazing scholarship where I had a chance to enjoy beautiful University of Notre Dame with another 20 or so students who also mainly come from war zones and have dedicated their lives to serving peace. So during the studies, I had the pleasure of meeting Desmond Tutu, who conducted a beautiful lecture at Notre Dame, and then had a morning breakfast with our batch of peace studies students. So during this breakfast, I spoke with Desmond Tutu, and I asked him whether he feels that suffering has meaning. So we explored this topic very deeply. And even though we don't want to call suffering into our lives when it happens, it's our chance to dive deep into the very meaning of it and the calling to rise above it and be a beacon of light for others as well. So he spoke about the Peace and Reconciliation Commission, and there was this amazing example that stayed with me for years. I can still feel it and visualize the way he beautifully explained about bringing the perpetrator of the crime together with the victim in a big hall where there are other people simply in non-judgmental way holding the space, and then creating the right energy for the forgiveness to happen. So there was a lady who first explained that this man who was brought as the perpetrator placed her breast in a drawer and kept slamming the drawer, closing it and hurting her immensely. And this was just one of the ways he tortured her. And she listed all that. And he stood there with tears in his eyes. And then at the end of it all, she looked him in the eyes and she said, "I forgive you." This is it was a huge eye-opener for me. That actual way to nonviolence is not through punishment, it's through education, nurturing, and actually always giving chance to people to come back to divine in themselves. So our everyday choices at the level of thought, word, and action is how we serve Ahimsa and peace. It's not just a concept, it's not a signature on some international treaty. It's at the grassroots level, and it's got a lot to do with our awareness. Because Sage Patanjali put Ahimsa as one of the key yamas, social moral rules, for a reason, because we can't go further without embracing Ahimsa. We can't expand in the consciousness, and we can't connect with the sacredness of life if we are not in the Ahimsa. So one of the ways of serving Ahimsa is also by our food choices. And I became vegetarian when I started practicing yoga, but I was still not vegan. So I remember one trip to USA with Mohanji, I think it was 2010, when we went to a pizza joint because there was nothing else to eat. So we thought, okay, we'll tolerate cheese. And we had a pizza. But then Mohanji sat for a while and he was kind of sad. His face kind of shrunk. And I asked him, what happened? You don't seem to be feeling too good. And he said, suddenly it just hit me. I just connected with the consciousness of the cows from whom this cheese was made. And I connected with their suffering, what they had to go through for this cheese to be produced, and I was eating it now. So for him, the veganism was not just a choice he made because of some values. He can actually feel it. He can feel it in the consciousness. And it really touched me. This one moment with Mohanji inspired me to also become vegan, but not from a judgmental space towards others who have not made that choice, but as an inspiration to others to consider all life as sacred, to not turn the blind eye towards suffering of anyone, no matter which being it may be, because this is what's required for us to rise up in our full potential. And just before the quarantine, I was part of the Unity Earth pilgrimage to the Holy Land. I met beautiful people from the spiritual arm of United Nations. So it's called United Religions Initiatives, URI, and wonderful people. And we've also, with beautiful artists Pato and Antoinette, I participated in the creation of a video called Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. So there are so many ways in which we can get together and create these waves, the ripples of peace and nonviolence on Earth. And through Mohanji Foundation, which is my chosen platform for adding value to society, I can only say that there's so many beautiful ways in which we can serve. And I feel great gratitude and fulfillment by belonging to this path and by living these beautiful teachings. All thanks to Mohanji, who has inspired us and who continues to lead by example. So thank you all and happy Ahimsa Day. Lots of love from Slovenia.